Okay, so this is the first weekend of January, and it's a horror film. You know what that means. It's a bad movie, right? So which movie is it? Insidious, The Last Key? Oh, Insidious, why did you have to open on the first weekend of January? That's not a good idea. Insidious 4, The Last Key, directed by Adam Robel, not James Wan, unfortunately. One of the reasons why this movie is not so good. Starring Lin Shaye again as Elise, and of course the creator of the Insidious franchise, Leah Whannell, as Specs, Elise's associate in paranormal investigation, and his buddy Tucker in the film. This is the fourth movie in the Insidious franchise, which I'm a big fan of. I did like the first three Insidious movies. I thought they were all very good horror films, especially the first one. The first one was the best of the franchise. The second one was very good, and the third one was pretty good. So when I heard that there was going to be a fourth one, I thought, oh, this is not a good idea to make a fourth movie. And then finding out it's on the first weekend in January, that's even worse! Because the first weekend in January is never a good weekend for horror movies. Bye-Bye Man, Devil May Cry, Texas Chainsaw 3D, the list goes on and on of bad horror movies that come out on the first weekend in January. And this is no different, unfortunately. Yes, this is a bad movie, but not that bad. Pretty much a very forgettable movie. Well, let's get into the plot of this film. So Elise has to go to her childhood home to deal with a demon that has keys for fingers, and we get to learn about her past in this movie. We get to learn about her brother, who in this movie is being played by Bruce Davidson. If you know him, you know him best from the X-Men films as Senator Kelly. Lin Shaye's nieces in this film. Yes, Lin Shaye has nieces from her brother Christian. Then their names are Melissa and Imogen, who end up becoming love interests for Tucker and Specs. Comes into the negatives more so than the positives of the movie. And of course we get to talk about the demon, who is a guy that has keys for fingers. So let's talk about this movie. Now, obviously, since this is a bad movie, this is the weakest of the Insidious franchise. Unfortunately, this movie is not really all that good. The positives of this movie is, of course, Lin Shaye. She's the best part of all four movies. She does a really good job. I did like the use of the effects in this film. I thought some of the effects were pretty good, but not all of the effects. The demon in this movie, he looks pretty good, but he could look a little bit better. He doesn't look as good as the Red Ghost in the first movie, or the other demons from the other two films. Then there's the comic relief. The comic relief in this movie sucks, especially from Tucker. Tucker is not funny in this movie, and he's pretty funny in the other films, but in this movie he just comes off creepy, especially when he's trying to flirt with both of Elise's nieces in this film. One of Elise's nieces, Imogen, ends up liking Specs, and he's trying to get her to like him instead. But of course, the other one, Melissa, ends up liking him and does end up liking her. But there's really no chemistry between couples at all. Neither the Specs and Imogen one or Tucker and Melissa really all that much. And then again, Tucker and Melissa don't get enough screen time to really develop chemistry really all that much. But anytime Tucker tries to flirt with either one of these two girls, he just comes off creepy. Specs comes off pretty awkward though, since he's the nerd of the group, but he also comes off a little bit charming, so he's not as bad as Tucker is in this movie. And the scares in this movie are pretty much mostly jump scares, really. There are some good scares in the film, but really not all that much. And then there's the stupid MacGuffin in this movie. It's a whistle that they're trying to find. This whistle is very special to Lin Shaye's brother, Christian, played by Bruce Davidson. The way the whistle plays in with this movie is kind of stupid in the film. Finally, the thing that annoys me the most about this film is the fact that some of the scenes of the trailer were not in the movie, but then again, I don't think I would have changed my grade of this film all that much. So really, this is not a good movie. I definitely do not recommend seeing this. I'm going to give this movie a C-. I don't think it's even worth renting, even though that's in the rental area grading. So don't see this movie. You're better off seeing Molly's Game for this week. And that's all I gotta say for Insidious 4 Last Key. Let's tiptoe to the window! Look out, John Wick and Atomic Blonde. Here comes Proud Mary. Mary. I don't know how to say this director's name, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen here. Starring Tasha P. Henson, Billy Brown, Danny Glover, Neil McDonough from Captain America, Dum Dum Dugan, and you got a child actor in the movie playing Danny in the film. This movie is about an assassin who works for these drug dealers or gangsters named Mary. And she meets up with this boy named Danny who's working for this competing drug dealer. What happens is she wants to help Danny get out of the crime family that he's working for. So she kills these gangsters. Inadvertently, she starts a war between the gangster family that she's working for and the gangsters that she just killed, and now she's got to find a way to get out of the drug dealing business that she's in, get away from the gangsters that she's working for, and try to protect this boy, trying to make sure that he doesn't get into any more deeper trouble than what he's already in, get out of the life that she's in. That's pretty much our movie. Now, when I heard that this movie was coming out in January, even though I did like the trailer from the film, I was a little bit concerned that this was going to be a bad movie because this is January, it's the dumping ground. This month is notorious for having bad films, and unfortunately, this movie is really not that bad. I ended up liking this movie. This is a pretty fun film. The action in this movie is really good. Tasha P. Henson is great in the movie as Mary. I really did like her in the film. A lot of the action that she does in this movie, she's using guns with silencers, which is very cool in the film. And the interactions she has with the boy, where she is kind of like a maternal figure to the boy, even though she's not really the boy's mother. Those scenes are great in the film, and I really did like the interaction that they have. The two villains in the film, played by Billy Brown and Danny Glover, they're very good in the movie too. I really did like how they play as the villains, and it's kind of funny that Danny Glover's in the movie because he's not too old for this film, I guess. Not too old to be a villain. Then you have Neil McDonough in the film. He's not in the movie that much. What screen time he gets, he's really good in the film. He does a very good job with the screen time. The action in this movie is good, and of course, when you get to the climax, you hear the Tina Turner song, Proud Mary, and that is used very well in the film. Tina Turner is one of my favorite singers. Actually, she's my ultimate favorite female singer, and hearing the song Proud Mary during the climax of the film really got me into it, and I just really did like this movie. Yeah, it is very cliche because you have the lead character trying to get out of the crime business. This is like her last job, as she wants to get out because she cares about somebody, which in this case is the boy. Kind of like Baby Driver in the same way, only Baby Driver is a better film. But this is a really good movie. I definitely think people should give this movie a chance because even though this is a January dumping ground film, it should be taken a look at because this movie's not getting enough coverage. This movie wasn't even given a critics screening from what I'm hearing. Usually when something like that happens, you think that, oh, this movie could be really bad. But this movie really wasn't that bad. I really ended up liking this film. I definitely think. But honestly, Proud Mary really doesn't have that much action. The trailer advertises that this is going to be a female-led action film. But when you really get down to it, the action doesn't start until the very climax of the movie. By that point, I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting a bit more action for the film. So I'm going to have to give this movie a C+. It's pretty much just a rental. And that's all I got to say for Proud Mary. Really, Liam Neeson? We're doing another Taken Light film? This time on a train? Taken on a train, The Commuter. The Commuter, directed by Collet-Serra, the man who directed Non-Stop, and returning the star of Non-Stop, Liam Neeson, playing Michael McCauley. He is a retired police officer who's doing this job in insurance, I think. He gets fired from his job, and every day when he goes to his job, he's taking this commuter train. And so one day when he's taking this commuter train and gets fired, he meets up with this woman played by Vera Farmiga named Joanna, who gives him an offer. She says that there's somebody on this train who doesn't belong, and there's this hidden amount of money in the bathroom of this subway train, this commuter train that he takes. You go in the bathroom, you can take the money if you wish. All you have to do is find out who is this one person in the train that doesn't belong, put this GPS tracker on the person, and the money is yours. As well, more money will be given to you once you get to your stop. But what he doesn't realize when he's taking this offer, that he gets himself into a whole lot of trouble, gets into this conspiracy, people start dying, his family gets put in danger. He doesn't know how to get out of this predicament that he's in. So let's talk about this movie. Now, when I saw the trailer for this film, I was thinking, oh, another Taken Light film starring Liam Neeson. I'm getting bored of this plot. And that's one of the problems with this movie, is that Liam Neeson has done the very old action guy so often that it's getting old and boring now. The Taken sequels were not that good. And some of the other films that he has done where he's the old action guy weren't that good. There were a couple of films that he did outside the Taken franchise that were action films that were actually pretty good, and others that were not so good. So it's been a mixed bag when he does these action films. And this movie is just not that good, really, from my point of view. The action in the movie is pretty good, but I was losing my suspension of belief with the action because he was getting into a lot of situations where he could die. And I was thinking he should be dead, but he's not dead in some of the situations that he gets in, because he's Superman in this film, practically. The people he's trying to The people he's questioning in order to find out who the one person is, they all see him as a guy that looks like he's crazy. And I did like how they're making Liam Neeson's character look like he's paranoid, look like he's crazy, or look like he could be a criminal, or like he's a terrorist or something, or like he's holding these people hostage. But that has been done before in other movies too. So that is very boring and almost feels like a cliche as well. And the fact that he's a retired cop is also a cliche because that shows he has a special set of skills. And that's just one of the problems with this movie. It's just been there and done that, really. And there's not much excitement within this movie or suspense, because you know that he's going to get out of it somehow. You know that somehow the people at the end will survive. There are some people that die in the movie, but most of the people do live, of course. It just really wasn't all that exciting. Vera Farmiga does play a pretty good villain in the film, and it was pretty cool seeing Patrick Wilson also in the movie, both stars of the Conjuring franchise in this film. So that was pretty interesting. But honestly, this movie is just not very good, and I really didn't like this movie. It's just not that great of a film. So I'm going to give this movie a D, as in don't see it. Don't see this film, this garbage, or go see one of the Oscar films that are just coming out, like The Post, or Call Me By Your Name, or I don't know if Paddington 2 is any good yet. I'm going to be seeing that soon. Don't bother with The Commuter. It's really not that good of a movie.